Dr. Richard Vance speaking. There's a quiet shift that happens in the body after 50 that most people never feel coming. You don't notice it in a single day, or even a single month. But one morning, you realize something has changed. Climbing stairs feels slower. Getting up from a chair takes a little more effort. And the body you once trusted to bounce back doesn't quite respond the same way anymore. Now, here's the part most people never hear. It isn't just aging. In many cases, it is a breakdown in something far more specific: your muscle's ability to respond to protein. And that is where today's topic becomes surprisingly powerful, because there is one of the most ordinary foods in the human diet that may directly help reawaken that lost muscle response system: eggs. And if you've been told for years to be careful with eggs, or limit them, or avoid them for your heart, what I'm about to explain may completely reshape how you see this simple food. Because after 50, eggs are not just food. They are a biological signal. A signal your muscles are listening to, even when they seem like they're starting to ignore everything else. Now, to understand why this matters so much, we need to go inside the body, at the level of muscle cells themselves. Because what you're really dealing with after 50 is a condition science calls sarcopenia. That's the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength with age. But the deeper issue is not just muscle loss. It's what researchers call anabolic resistance. Let me explain that in simple terms. Anabolic resistance means your muscles become less responsive to protein. So even if you are eating enough protein, your body is not turning it into muscle as efficiently as it used to. It's like this. Imagine your muscles are a construction site. In your 20s and 30s, every time protein arrives, it's like a loud delivery truck pulling up. Same food, same protein, but a weaker response. And that change is driven by something happening inside your cells, a key pathway called mTOR. mTOR is basically the growth switch inside your muscle cells. When activated properly, it tells your body, build, repair, strengthen. But here's the problem. That switch becomes harder to activate with age. And the main trigger for that switch is not just protein in general, but one specific amino acid inside protein: leucine. Think of leucine as the ignition key for muscle repair. Without enough leucine, the muscle-building signal stays weak, even if protein is present. And this is where eggs become biologically interesting, because eggs are one of the most complete protein sources in nature. Each egg contains all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot produce on its own. But more importantly, they contain a highly usable form of leucine that your body can rapidly absorb. So when you eat eggs, something very specific happens inside your body. First, the protein is broken down during digestion into amino acids. Then those amino acids enter your bloodstream, and once leucine levels rise high enough, they interact with your muscle cells and begin reactivating that mTOR pathway. In simple language, it tells your body, it's time to repair muscle again. But here's the critical point most people miss. After 50, your body doesn't just need protein, it needs a stronger signal. And eggs provide that signal in a very efficient form. Now let's go deeper into what this actually means in daily life. Because this isn't just about gym performance or bodybuilding. This is about basic independence. Standing up without strain, walking without fatigue, preventing the slow slide into frailty that many people assume is inevitable with age. Research from major nutrition studies, including work reviewed by institutions like Harvard Health and the Mayo Clinic, consistently shows that higher quality protein intake in older adults is associated with better preservation of muscle mass and function. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Eggs don't just support muscle, they support multiple aging systems at once. Inside every egg, you also get vitamin B12, which supports nerve function and energy production. You get choline, which is essential for brain health and memory signaling. You get lutein and zeaxanthin, which help protect the eyes from age-related decline. So what you are looking at is not a muscle food, it is a multi-system aging support food. But now we have to address something important, because I don't want you to miss the nuance here. For decades, eggs were surrounded by fear. Cholesterol, heart disease, blocked arteries. You've probably heard at some point that eating eggs daily could raise your cholesterol and increase heart risk. But modern research paints a more accurate picture. For most healthy adults, dietary cholesterol from food has a surprisingly small impact on blood cholesterol levels. Why? Because your liver is not passive. If you consume more cholesterol from food, your liver often produces less of its own. It's a balancing system. However, and this is important, there are exceptions. Some individuals, often called hyperresponders, may see a rise in LDL cholesterol from high egg intake, and people with existing cardiovascular disease or diabetes may need more personalized guidance. This is why medicine today does not give one universal rule. It gives context. But for the majority of older adults, eggs are no longer considered the dietary threat they were once believed to be. Now let's come back to the muscle story, because this is where the real payoff is. If you consistently include eggs in your diet after 50, especially as part of a balanced protein intake, something subtle begins to shift in the background of your physiology. Not overnight, not dramatically, but gradually. Your muscles begin receiving more consistent amino acid signals. That mTOR pathway becomes easier to activate. Recovery from daily activity improves slightly. Strength loss slows. And over time, the body maintains more of its functional capacity. But there is a condition. Eggs alone are not enough. And this is where many people misunderstand nutrition after 50. The goal is not to rely on a single food. The goal is to create a pattern of protein signaling across the day. One of the most effective approaches seen in nutrition research is spreading protein intake evenly across meals rather than loading it all at dinner. For example, instead of very low-protein breakfast and lunch followed by a heavy dinner, your muscles respond better to moderate protein exposure multiple times per day. Eggs fit perfectly into that system, especially at breakfast, when your body is primed after overnight fasting. Now let's talk about how to actually use eggs in a way that supports aging well, because preparation matters more than people think. Boiled eggs or poached eggs are generally the most stable options nutritionally. They avoid the inflammatory compounds that can form when eggs are fried in reused or highly processed oils. Pairing eggs with fiber-rich foods like vegetables or whole grains can also help stabilize blood sugar and improve metabolic balance. And one more subtle but important point. If your diet becomes too dependent on eggs alone, you miss the broader nutritional diversity your body still needs. So think of eggs as a foundation, not the entire structure. Now I want to bring this all together. After 50, The central challenge is not simply eating less or eating more. It is eating in a way that your changing biology can actually respond to. And muscle loss is not just a cosmetic issue. It is one of the strongest predictors of long-term independence, metabolic health, and even longevity. Eggs, in this context, are not a miracle food. They are something more practical and more important. They are an efficient biological trigger for a system that becomes harder to activate with age. A system your body still has, but needs the right signal to fully engage. So when someone asks, "Should I eat eggs daily after 50?" the real answer is not yes or no. The real answer is this. If your goal is to maintain muscle, support recovery, and give your aging body a reliable protein signal, eggs can be one of the simplest tools to help you do that. Not because they are magical, but because your biology still responds to them when it matters most. And that is something worth paying attention to. Now I'm curious, have you noticed changes in your strength, energy, or recovery after changing your protein intake with age? Leave your experience in the comments. If this breakdown helped you understand what's actually happening inside your body, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because in the next one, I'll show you how another everyday food quietly affects inflammation and energy after 50 in ways most people completely overlook.